Hi there. You're listening to English Podcast for Beginners, your friendly guide to learning English step by step. Let's learn, practice, and grow together.
Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're looking at a whole stack of sources, all focused on one thing: functional communication. We're going to try and distill a crystal clear guide on how English is actually used every single day.
And this is so crucial, isn't it? I mean, for anyone who's spent years studying formal English only to, feel completely paralyzed when they try to order a coffee or just join a casual conversation.
Right. They freeze up.
We're basically looking for the shortcuts,
Yeah.
the real difference between so-called textbook English and the language of real life.
Exactly. And that's our mission here, to understand why going for linguistic perfection often just gets in the way of immediate practical communication.
Mm-hmm.
The core argument, and it runs through all of our sources, is that daily fluency really hinges on prioritizing things like short phrases, simple verbs, and common expressions.
Right, over the complex, structure-heavy grammar.
It's all about utility, not poetry.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because textbook English, it prepares you for these theoretical scenarios, right? It often relies on perfect tense usage and complex sentences. But functional, everyday communication, it just demands efficiency.
Totally.
So I think our goal today is to move completely past that pursuit of complexity. We need to focus on what minimizes friction in those real-time interactions.
Okay, so let's dive right into that fundamental distinction.
Yeah.
Because that's the wall, isn't it? It's where most learners just get stuck.
It is.
Why does the beautiful, complex language we're taught in a classroom, the hypothetical debates using perfect conditional tenses, why does that fail us when we're just, trying to buy groceries?
Yeah, and what's so fascinating here is when you analyze why. Why do these simple structures become so dominant? And it's fundamentally about cognitive load.
Cognitive load. Yeah.
Think about it. When you're under pressure to communicate quickly, maybe you're distracted or multitasking or there's noise all around you, your brain just prioritizes survival, not grammar rules.
It looks for the easiest path.
It seeks the path of least resistance every time.
So it's the need for speed over the need for a perfect structure. But, okay, if we lean too heavily on that, on just simplification, don't we risk sounding, overly basic? Or even limiting our ability to express nuance?
That is the critical question. And the sources, they argue that for, say, 90% of your daily interactions, you don't need nuance. You need predictable clarity.
Predictable clarity. I like that.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, the shift is from encoding complex meaning, which is a linguistic task, to achieving an immediate useful outcome, which is more of a social or practical task.
Will you give an example of that?
Sure. So instead of building this perfect sentence like, I would have ordered the large size had I realized I hadn't eaten breakfast yet.
Yeah.
You say, I'm hungry. Large coffee, please.
That is a huge mental weight off your shoulders, right? For the listener, I mean.
A huge weight.
It's just recognizing that the common currency of communication isn't theoretical knowledge. It's these predictable patterns.
Precisely. And that predictability, it allows us to anticipate responses, and it cuts down our internal processing time. If you look at verbs, for instance, daily English heavily, heavily favors these high-frequency, simple verbs: go, take, have, make, get.
The classics.
The absolute classics. We use these verbs, often paired with simple phrasal components, to substitute dozens of more formal or complicated words. It's the linguistic shortcut that frees up your cognitive resources for other things.
Like deciding what you're actually going to say next.
Exactly. Or just navigating the world around you.
Okay, so to make this really actionable, the sources organize daily English into 4. Like call them essential situational themes. It's like a map for the learner's needs.
Yeah, the 4 pillars of functional English. It's a really clear, logical way to structure your learning.
And the first pillar is so grounded. It's just English for morning routines. This covers the most predictable conversations and self-talk when you're just, starting your day.
These are the phrases you use when you're waking up, getting ready, leaving the house. The function here is really just announcing simple statuses, expressing immediate needs.
So we're talking about things that seem almost too simple, like I woke up late, or I need to shower.
Or, do you want coffee? But you have to consider the frequency.
Right.
This raises a really important question. How much of our spoken language, or even our internal monologue, is actually dedicated to these super predictable topics? A huge percentage.
So if you master that, you're fluent for a big chunk of your day.
Instantly. By mastering the simple expressions for "I'm running late" or "the bus is here," you create fluency in the most common repetitive scenario you have. It's low effort, high return learning.
Okay, so moving out of the home. The second pillar is English for work or school. This is where things get a little more complex. You're communicating with colleagues, classmates, teachers.
And this environment, it does require precision and clarity, but,
Yeah.
but you can still achieve that with simple tools. The sources give concrete examples that are all focused on collaborative actions.
Like what?
Things like asking for help, giving updates, or talking about schedules.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting for me, because you'd assume a professional environment requires more formality.
Most people do.
But the source material shows that, managers and students alike, they rely on simple, declarative sentences to get critical information across efficiently. Can you check this draft?
It's just so much more functional then.
I was wondering if you might perhaps have the time to review the preliminary submission of this document.
Exactly. Who talks like that?
Nobody. I mean, these examples show how simple structures are used to manage really complex relationships, whether they're hierarchical or collaborative. The sentence, "I need the file by 3," it establishes urgency and direction with perfect clarity.
Without getting bogged down.
Exactly. The sources really emphasize that in a professional context, simple language is often a proxy for clarity and competence. The focus is on the deliverable, not the delivery method.
Okay, pillar number 3. This one takes us into transactional space. English for shopping and ordering food. The practical language used at a shop or a cafe where the goal is just a quick, successful exchange.
So we're dealing with transactional functions, asking for prices, ordering food.
And, importantly, engaging in that required bit of small talk. The sources illustrate these standard, predictable question and answer routines.
Like, how much is this? Or, can I get that to go? The phrases are just fixed. They're reliable.
They are, and the role of small talk here is so significant. It's the social lubricant. It's not just the transaction itself, but the simple, "have a nice day," or "how are you doing today?"
It acknowledges the person.
It acknowledges the person behind the counter, and the sources make a really strong case that mastering these brief social exchanges is what makes a learner feel integrated. It makes them feel confident.
So it's the bridge to more complex socializing.
It's often the very first bridge, yeah.
Which brings us perfectly to the fourth and final pillar, English for free time and socializing. And this is maybe the highest stakes area for a learner.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It involves leisure, hobbies, making plans, initiating friendships. It's personal.
And the sources, what do they focus on here?
They focus on how to handle these key social functions using the simplest possible linguistic tools. How to invite someone out or how to answer an invitation effectively.
So if I'm inviting someone to a movie, I don't need to craft some perfect persuasive essay.
Not at all. A simple, "want to see a movie Saturday," works perfectly.
And why is that simplicity so key here?
Because this type of language, it manages hesitation. If a learner feels like they need perfect grammar just to accept an invitation, they might delay, they might overthink it, and then they miss the opportunity.
And the moment is gone.
The moment's gone. The simplicity that the sources provide, using phrases like, "that sounds fun," or "I can't, I'm busy," it's the key to overcoming that social anxiety and just ensuring the conversation keeps flowing. It maintains that critical social connection.
So we have the map, we understand what to learn. Simple, high-utility phrases, all organized by daily function. Now, what does this all mean for daily practice?
Right. How do we take this knowledge and apply it in a way that actually generates real muscle memory?
Yeah, how do we make it stick?
Well, this is where we have to shift from, passive study to active integrated application. And the source material gives some really clear executable advice here. It's all designed to maximize repetition and immersion without demanding hours of dedicated study time.
So, learning while you're living.
Exactly. The sources outline 6 incredibly actionable tips. Let's think of them as a progression. First, listening to short videos, that's your input.
Okay.
Then, repeating phrases, that's deliberate output. Then taking small notes for retention. Then you move on to practicing with friends, which is social output.
And then the last two, which I find fascinating, talking to yourself, which is low-pressure output.
And finally, using English during your daily tasks, which is just total integration.
Let's stick with those last few, because I think the real power, especially for a learner who knows the rules but struggles with confidence, lies right there.
I agree.
Specifically, the power of talking to yourself. That's just pure, zero-risk repetition.
It's the ultimate low-pressure environment. I mean, you are the only listener and you are the only judge. You can narrate every single step of your morning routine using those simple phrases we already talked about.
I am turning off the alarm. The water is hot.
I need to find my keys. It builds that crucial muscle memory without any of the stress of performing for someone else.
And that links directly to the final and maybe the most effective tip: integrating English into your daily tasks. This is where the learning just becomes constant.
It really does. It just means consciously deciding to use English to process the world around you during those mundane activities.
So if I'm grocery shopping,
You name the items, you read the labels, you calculate the prices internally in simple English sentences. If you're on your commute, describe the scenery, describe what people are doing using only those simple verbs we identified.
you're just maximizing frequency and minimizing effort.
That's it. It takes the knowledge and it inserts it directly into the environment where you're eventually going to need it. And that makes the transition to, actually talking to other people feel almost seamless.
So that brings us to the end of this deep dive. We've sort of moved past the complexity trap. We've confirmed that functional communication, it really just prioritizes short, predictable phrases, simple verbs.
All organized into those 4 predictable daily categories: morning, work or school, shopping, and socializing.
And the sources all emphasize that fluency is built by applying that knowledge consistently.
Right. And given how important that self-talk and daily integration is, I want to leave you with a final challenge.
Okay.
Identify 3 utterly mundane daily tasks. It could be making your bed, boiling water for tea, maybe just scrolling through the news headlines. And for the next 7 days, commit to only using those simple English phrases internally to narrate those tasks.
Just force that repetition.
Force that low-pressure, high-frequency repetition. See what happens.
That is the perfect way to turn analysis into real application. Start simple, stick to the functional phrases, and just build that confidence, one internal monologue at a time.
Thanks for joining us as we deconstructed functional English.
Go out there and start talking to yourself. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.